Hi, I'm Esi Callender, and I wrote Libation, from which you're about to see some excerpts. Importantly, Libation is a play for an all-black cast. So for the synopsis, it begins in Act 1, where we meet Allie, a white girl and aspiring author who moves into a freshly gentrified neighborhood in a nameless North American city. Immediately inspired, she writes a novel telling the story of a black woman who lived there before her. The novel is published and Allie is ascending. That is until she meets Desdemona, a black woman who is losing her memory but swears that Allie has stolen her story. And the encounter between them destroys them both. Then in Act 2 we meet Desi, a black PhD dropout, now barista, who is drunk in their bathtub after sending their newest play to an unresponsive mailing list. Mona arrives, demanding an explanation for the desperate script. "I get why you killed the white girl, but why did you kill yourself?" asks Mona, a black Ghanaian immigrant who came to get a degree, a Western passport, and the fuck out. The two rehash the commitment that their friendship requires, failed revenge plots and perfected essays, twists of adulthood, and visions for the future. Enjoy. Who I am as an artist is somebody who really enjoys collaboration. I really like working with others and really like getting into all the nitty-gritty of a play and working through all of the different problems within it. So I think I really like thrive in those more collaborative atmospheres. And I also enjoy collaborations a lot with people who work outside of theatre as well. So some of my closest friends and collaborators have been people who work in other mediums, like in visual arts or photography and writing. And I find that getting to step slightly outside of my area and be able to think through other people's practices and the kinds of tactics that are being used and what they're trying to explore, and talking about those things and writing about those things and really engaging with other people's work is something that is a big part of my own practice and who I am as an artist. And I'm also somebody who within theatre really enjoys and is really interested in non-traditional and experimental and post-dramatic approaches to theatre. So that's something that I try to incorporate in all of the projects that I do and all of the plays that I write. And kind of corresponding with that, another big part of who I am as an artist is that I'm someone who is trying to incorporate anti-oppression values into all parts of their art practice. And I think that's something a lot of people are trying to work on. And for me, kind of the best way that I've found into that work is to be able to try to look at it through sort of three different aspects. And one is maybe the most obvious, which is the content of the work that we do in theatre, and having the content of the work be anti-oppressive in terms of telling stories about or rooted in our experiences as people who are part of historically oppressed communities. There's this element, and then there's also the more formal and aesthetic element of trying to find a form or a way to tell those stories that also aligns with them, or that also aligns with who we are and with the sort of what we're trying to express. So I think there's for me a desire to be able to find forms of theatre that push back on some of the more normative ways of creating knowledge in Western culture, and that push back on some of the sort of accepted norms and standards. So trying to kind of make those things strange or offer other ways of perceiving. And yeah, I think another big part, and then another big part of that is also to be able to also infuse these values into the way that we work with each other. So it's really important to me that the kind of setting of a work, in terms of the actual relationships that develop, in terms of the funding, how it's allocated if we get funding for a project, in terms of the choices about what spaces to use and what we're going to do as part of the work of putting on a play or of developing a performance piece, that all of these things also have those values incorporated into them. So that's a lot about my process and what I believe in, I guess, as a theater artist. And yeah. So what do I hope to achieve in the next 5 years? A great deal. I really hope to be able to continue my education. I want to pursue a master's degree, and to do so outside of theatre. I want to kind of get more inputs from other disciplines and be able to kind of bring that back in as like the meat of theatre projects in the future. And I want to keep writing a lot, and finding more like kind of like collaborative and I don't know, just more ways to write that sort of like nurture the things that really excite me about theatre and about writing. And yeah, I want to be able to continue kind of like encountering people to do that with, and people who have sort of like aligned visions and missions with my own. And I also would love to continue being able to work in theatre in terms of like production, and being able to help like bring pieces that I really believe in to life. And kind of like corresponding with that, I also would really love to see my work produced as well. That's a big goal of mine in the next 5 years. And I'd also like to dip my toes in and start to find out more about TV and film writing, which is something I'm really interested in. So those are all goals, and I'm working towards them slowly but surely. And what have I learned about myself as an artist in my time at Black Theatre Workshop? A lot, definitely. And I think some of the main lessons have been sort of what I've been talking about already, because I think I've learned a lot about just who I actually am creatively, what I actually enjoy, what excites me or like brings me back into the work. One of the major challenges that I had this year was, you know, I love to write, and especially I think like the gathering together of new ideas and like putting them together into a piece. This really works for me. And then I struggled a lot more with the rewriting process. So I think I spent a lot of the time that I had here, you know, asking playwrights and my mentors, you know, like, how do you do it? How do you actually like improve a work? How do you get back into it and challenge the things that you laid down? Like, how do you do that development? Especially, how do you do it on your own? And I think that's like one of the areas that I've learned the most in, and discovered so many new strategies for how to get in there. And I think all of those things have revealed like more and more to me about who I am as an artist. And I think I just see more clearly now like my own, I guess, practice, or like my own ways of working. And I also, I think, see more clearly like the goals of the things that I'm working on, or like what I'm driven by. And so that's been a really fantastic thing to learn about myself as an artist this year. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.